In the heart of the Abakan forest, where the trees whisper in the wind and even birds dare not sing after sunset, there is a sound. A steady dum-dum-dum that echoes from deep within, luring the curious and the foolish alike. They say it's just a boy playing a drum. But elders warn, he's not what he seems. This is the tale of the drummer boy with a secret in the woods. A tale whispered by firelight, retold in hushed tones, and remembered by those who still carry the scars of what they heard and what they saw. Long ago, nestled at the edge of the ancient Abakan forest, was a small village called Nsim. The people of Nsim lived simple lives, farming the land, telling stories, and revering the spirits of the forest. But no one ever ventured past the twisted iroko tree, which marked the border between the village and the deep woods. The forest, you see, wasn't just any forest. It was alive, not just with animals or spirits, but with secrets older than memory. And within its heart, there was one sound that haunted every ear. A drumbeat. It started faintly at dusk. Steady. Measured. Not random like animal movement. Not thunder. A rhythm. Message. A warning. The villagers said it had always been there, as far back as anyone could remember. "It's the boy," the old ones would say, spitting twice to ward off evil. The drummer boy, the cursed one. No one had ever seen him, but all had heard the drum. Among the children of Nsim was a girl named Muna, an orphan raised by her blind grandmother, Mama Jackie. Muna was different, sharp-eyed, fearless, and drawn to the forest in ways that made the elders uneasy. While others avoided the woods, Muna often sat near the border, sketching shapes in the dirt, listening. She could almost feel the drumming beneath her skin. It spoke to her, not in words but in rhythm. Question always repeating. One evening Muna asked, "Mama Jackie, who is the drummer boy?" Her grandmother's white eyes turned toward the sound of the distant drum, lips trembling. "He was once one of us," she whispered. "Until he wasn't. His name was Idumo. And he played the sacred talking drum. But he beat the forest's rhythm, backward." Muna frowned. "Backward?" "He defied the spirits, played the rhythm of the dark path. And the forest swallowed him. But it did not keep him quiet. That night Muna could not sleep. The drumming was louder than usual. It came in patterns she could understand, almost as if someone was calling her name. 3 days later, Muna and her friend Chigazi were fetching firewood near the iroko tree. As they laughed and played, a gust of wind swept through, cold and sudden, snatching Chigazi's red wrapper and carrying it into the woods. "No! My mother will skin me!" he cried, staring at the trees. Muna didn't hesitate. "Wait here," she said, darting after it. The drumbeat intensified with every step she took. Dum-dum. She found the wrapper snagged on a bush, but she also found footprints. Small, barefoot prints, pressed deep into the earth, leading further into the dark. And then she saw him. Boy. No older than 10. Sitting on a rock back to her. His skin was pale, too pale for someone in Nsim. His hair was thick like tangled vines, and in his lap was a drum made of snake skin and cowrie shells. He played with his eyes closed. Muna froze. Her breath caught. She should have run. But something held her. Something ancient. "You hear it too," the boy said, not turning. His voice was soft, hollow, like someone speaking from inside a cave. Muna's knees trembled. "Who are you?" "I am the rhythm you fear, and the silence that comes after," he answered, still drumming. "They call me cursed. But I only play what the forest tells me." His fingers stopped. "Come closer, Muna." She hadn't told him her name. Muna stepped forward. The boy turned at last, and his eyes were pure black like polished stones, no whites, no pupils. "Why do you come here, Muna of Nsim? Do you seek truth? Or rhythm? I want to know why you drum." He smiled. "Because when I stop, the forest wakes." She didn't understand. What's in the forest? Not what. Who? He struck a harsh beat suddenly. Dum dum dum. The trees shuddered. Shadows slithered across the ground. Leaves danced without wind. And then, the whispers began. Low, murmuring voices in a language Muna didn't know. All around. All inside her. You hear them now, he said. Just like I did, before they made me play. He stood, holding out the drum. Take it. She backed away. No. His face darkened. I said take it. The shadows stretched, wrapping around Muna's feet. She screamed and ran, the whispers chasing her like a tide of bees. She didn't stop until she reached Chigazi, who stared at her, eyes wide. You're bleeding, he gasped. She looked down. Her palms were torn, and across her left arm was a single mark. Handprint. Burned into her skin. That night Muna didn't speak. Not to Chigazi. Not to Mama Jackie. But she didn't sleep either. Because now, the drumbeat wasn't outside the forest. It was inside her house. Measured. Constant. And when she looked at her arm in the candlelight, the burnt handprint was gone. But in its place, was a symbol. A spiral of thorns. Muna sat upright in the dark, heart pounding in sync with the beat only she could hear. It echoed softly, too faint to wake others, yet loud enough to rattle her bones. Mama Jackie snored quietly in her corner mat, unaware. But the spiral mark on Muna's arm, the one that replaced the burned handprint, was glowing faintly in the dark. Not with fire, but with a kind of pulsing life. She covered it with cloth, whispered a prayer, and tried to sleep. But just before her eyes closed, a whisper slid through the shadows. The forest waits, Muna. At first light, Muna told Mama Jackie everything. Boy, the drum, the whispers, the mark. Her grandmother listened in silence, her blind eyes wide with horror. You didn't just hear the forest, child. You answered it. What does that mean? Muna asked. Mama Jackie reached into her calabash and drew out a bundle of old cowhide parchment. She unrolled it with trembling fingers. This is the spiral of Wuta, she said, pointing to a familiar pattern drawn in faded ink. It is the mark of the song keepers, chosen by the spirits of the wild. Not everyone can hear the sacred rhythm, but those who do are given a task. Muna leaned in. They must become the forest's memory, Mama Jackie said. Its voice, its drum. But the spiral also binds them. Once marked, they can never leave. Until the forest is done with them. Muna stood, eyes defiant. Then I will find this boy again. I will ask him how to stop it. Mama Jackie's voice cracked like old wood. Do not seek him again, child. His secret is not his own. But it was too late. The drumming didn't stop. Even during the day, Muna heard faint rhythms echoing behind her every step, under market chatter, beneath the wind, inside the silence. It began affecting her. She could sense lies when spoken, hear footsteps from impossible distances. When the chief's wife claimed to have lost her silver ring, Muna pointed, without knowing how, exactly where it was hidden beneath her calabash. Some villagers called it a gift. Others called it a curse. She has been touched, they whispered. Touched by the forest. By the seventh day, children no longer played with her. Women stopped inviting her to fetch water. Even Chigazi avoided her, eyes filled with fear. Only the forest called her now. On the eighth day, as twilight painted the sky in blood orange and purple, Muna followed the beat back to the twisted iroko tree. This time she brought offerings. A black rooster, a gourd of palm wine, and the drum Mama Jackie kept under her bed, the one she swore never to touch. As she crossed the threshold into the forest, the world seemed to change. The trees grew taller, closer. The air thickened. Shadows danced in places without light. The drumming grew louder, clearer. And then, as before, she saw him. The drummer boy. He stood on a moss-covered stone, surrounded by skulls of animals and smaller ones. Children. Welcome back, spiral bearer, he said without smiling. You came. Muna held up the drum. What is this mark on me? The beginning, he replied. Of memory. Of duty. He struck his drum once, and the forest shivered. Do you want to know the truth? He asked. Of who I am. Of what lies beneath this forest. Muna nodded slowly. Then follow me. But beware. The spirits listen. And truth always costs something. He led her through a path made of roots and bones. Trees parted before them. Ghosts of birds sang backward songs. Insects made no sound. The deeper they went, the more distorted the world became. Then they reached a hollow in the earth, a giant pit, lined with wood carvings and symbols burned in bark. He sat cross-legged and began to drum. Not fast, not loud, like a heartbeat. My name was Idumo, he said, eyes closed. I was once like you. A child with the rhythm in my soul. He drummed a little louder. I played the sacred drum at festivals. The village called me gifted. Until one day, found another rhythm. One buried in the earth, thumping beneath my feet. His voice dropped. It was the voice of the buried ones. Spirits trapped between life and death. They begged me to play their song, to remember them. Muna's heart raced. I played it, he said. And the forest opened its mouth. And swallowed me whole. He looked up. His eyes, once black, now shimmered with green fire. I am not alive, Muna. But I am not dead. I am the song now. Muna trembled. Why did you call me here? Idumo stood and approached. Because the song must continue. The spirits have chosen you. And now, you must decide. He held out the cursed drum. Play, or perish. Muna stared at the drum. Behind her, the forest pulsed. Around her, the air thickened. Above, the sky twisted with unnatural stars. To refuse was to risk the wrath of spirits older than time. To accept was to become one of them. Her fingers hovered over the drumhead. The spiral on her arm burned. What happens if I play it? She whispered. Idumo's smile returned, wide, hollow, and far too many teeth. Then you will learn the forest's secret, and bear its burden. And somewhere in the trees, something ancient began to awaken. Muna stared at the drum in her hands. It was warm, too warm, pulsed like a living thing. The carvings on its side told no language she recognized. Twisting symbols, beasts with no heads, and spirals upon spirals. Idumo stood beside her, watching, waiting. One beat, he whispered. That's all it takes. Her breath came in ragged gasps. She thought of Mama Jackie, the village, the children who avoided her now. And the mark, the spiral, on her arm began to glow again. Her fingers struck once. A silence fell over the forest like a shroud. Then the earth beneath her groaned. The soil split. Roots twisted unnaturally, curling upward as though fleeing from something below. Muna stumbled back, but Idumo held her steady. Don't run, he said softly. They remember you now. A figure rose from the cracked soil. Then another. And another. Ghostly children, thin, transparent, with hollow eyes, emerged in a circle around the hollow. They did not speak. But they stared. Deeply, as if trying to reach into Muna's thoughts. Who are they? She asked, voice quivering. Drummers like you, said Idumo. But they played too long. They gave everything. Muna clutched the drum. Why were they called? Because you must know what we guard. And what we guard is what should never wake. Suddenly the forest hummed, a low, thunderous tone, vibrating in her spine. Then a voice unlike any she'd heard before or after broke through the void. You have beaten the drum of memory. Now you must face what was buried. The spirits led her to a wide clearing, where the trees grew in a perfect circle. At its center lay a massive stone gate, etched with symbols older than language. Thorns wove around it, pulsing with black energy. The sky above the gate seemed warped, like time forgot it. This is the gate of Okunji, Idumo explained. Beyond it lies the first memory, the one even the gods buried. Muna took a step forward. Why was it buried? The spirits all turned their hollow eyes to her. Because man and spirit feared it, Idumo said. It is the truth of where the rhythm began. The first lie. The first death. And now? Muna asked. Now it calls for you. She looked down at the drum. How do I open it? Idumo's smile was solemn. With your own heartbeat. Muna looked up at the sky, took a deep breath, and placed the drum on the ground. Then she pounded it. Not with hands, but with the rhythm in her chest. Dum, dum, dum. The gate split open with a hiss of breathless wind. From within came no light, only a shadow walking like smoke, rising into the shape of a woman. She was neither young nor old, clothed in robes made of ash and bone. Her hair flowed like black fire. I am Nari, the first drummer, she said. I beat the earth when it was still wild. I sang before the wind learned its name. Muna bowed instinctively. Why was your memory sealed? Because I broke the law. I gave rhythm to the dead. Gave voice to grief. I showed man how to sing to the grave. The forest trembled. And now, Nari said, I give it to you. She held out her hand and from the void, pulled forth a second drum, black as night, with 7 golden cords wrapping it shut. If you untie these cords, she warned, you will learn what even the spirits regret. Muna stared, and reached for it. The moment her fingers touched the second drum, her mind split. Visions poured in. Wars fought with sound, kings who silenced entire tribes with a single beat, forests that sang lullabies to the dead, rivers that changed direction at the rhythm of sacred hands. She saw the price of the beat. Each chord was a promise. Not a soul. She untied the first. A woman screamed, a scream from 1,000 years ago. She untied the second. A village burned, its cries rising in rhythm to drums played in betrayal. She untied the third. The world cracked, and a beast with 1,000 arms rose, dancing to the rhythm of its own madness. Idumo grabbed her wrist. Stop! Muna turned, eyes blazing gold now. I must finish it. No, he said. You're opening the song of undoing. You'll release what cannot be controlled. Then why give it to me, she asked. Idumo's expression softened. Because you're the last hope to change the rhythm. She looked down. 4 chords remained. Muna stood at the edge of creation's first melody, holding the drum of endings. The spirits watched in silence. The forest held its breath. Behind her, the gate pulsed, half open, ready to swallow the world again if the beat was completed. And in the deepest part of her spirit, a question grew louder than the drum. Was this her destiny? Or a trap set long before her birth? Only one thing was certain. The forest had secrets, but some secrets had songs too dangerous to finish. In the dead stillness of the sacred woods, Muna unlocked 3 of the 7 golden cords. With each knot untied, history bled through time, visions of betrayals, cursed rhythms, and ancient beasts long buried. Now only 4 chords remain. But the more Muna learns about the rhythm, the more she questions. Was this gift of the drum truly her calling? Or a trap buried by those too afraid to face its song? That night, Muna slept on sacred ground. But sleep did not come gently. She was pulled into the drum dream, where sky and forest bled into one. The stars spun in reverse, and the trees whispered in languages lost to man. She stood at the edge of a vast river, except the river was made of drums, each floating slowly, softly beating as they drifted downstream. One drum called out in her mother's voice. Muna, my daughter, your rhythm will end me. She turned, but there was no one. Then she heard a louder sound. Something approaching. It wasn't walking. It was crawling. A great shadow, hundreds of arms, a head like a termite mound, eyes stitched shut, emerged from the river of drums. Untie the 4th cord and I'll find you, it hissed. Muna woke, sweating. The forest was silent. Idumo sat across from her, drumming slowly. Did you dream? He asked. Yes, she whispered. And I think something's coming. At dawn, Muna and Idumo walked deeper into the woods, into Iwo Valley, the hollow of forgotten ancestors. Here, trees bent backward away from the land. No birds sang. The wind itself moved with a rhythm, as if mourning. They came upon a tree that bled black sap. From it hung a man. No rope, no nails. Just hung suspended, wrapped in vines that pulsed like veins. His eyes were open, but dead. "Who is that?" Muna whispered. Idumo stepped forward. "That is my father. He was once a drummer too." He untied the sixth cord. He thought he could master the final song. What happened? The rhythm turned against him. Now the forest holds him like a lesson. Muna approached the body. And then his mouth moved. "You are not ready." He stumbled back. "What does that mean?" "The drum remembers lies. And you've not yet faced your own." That night, Muna wandered away from camp, drawn by a strange flickering light. She followed it into a glade where the ground pulsed like a heartbeat. In the center stood a woman cloaked in smoke, with a spiral carved into her forehead. "You wear my mark," the spirit said. "Who are you?" "I am Azina, keeper of memory. I am the truth you were never told." She raised her hand, and the spiral on Muna's arm began to burn. "You think the drum chose you. But it was passed to you out of fear." "Fear of what?" "Of your mother's legacy." Muna's heart froze. "What do you mean?" Azina stepped closer. "Your mother was the last to try and finish the drum. She untied the fifth cord, and sealed her soul inside it to protect you." The drum at Muna's side hummed, and for the first time Muna heard her mother's voice again. "My daughter, Resung, you must not free me." Back at the gate, Muna stared at the drum. 3 cords remained tied. 3 promises unbroken. But now she knew. One of them held her mother's soul. "If I untie the wrong one," she whispered. Idumo placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then you may never hear her again." But the beat inside her heart was louder now. A rhythm calling not just to the forest, but to the bones of the land itself. Muna looked to the sky. It had begun to change color. Where blue once lived, now a bruised violet stretched endlessly. She knew. The drum was altering the world. Reality was cracking. Her fingers hovered over the 4th cord. She took a deep breath and pulled. The sky broke. The 4th cord released a cry, a sound so sharp, so ancient, that even the trees bent backward. From the gate of Okunji, a ripple spread. And then, the beast emerged. It was not physical. It was sound given shape, a thing made of wrong rhythms, false notes, and echoing screams. Eyes swirled across its body like drums without skins. It turned toward Muna and spoke, not in words but in vibrations. "The final song begins, with your silence." It leapt at her. But before it could reach her, Idumo stepped between them. He slammed his own drum down and struck it hard. The air shattered like glass. Muna was thrown back, bleeding. When the dust cleared, Idumo was gone. Only his drum remained, split in 2. Muna crawled to the drum, tears mixing with blood. Idumo was gone. The beast had vanished into the gate again. But she knew it was temporary. Now 2 forces watched her. The drum with the remaining cords. And the memory of her mother, still trapped inside one of them. "If I stop now," Muna whispered, "it ends in silence. If I go on, the song may never end." Above her, the stars rearranged themselves into a spiral. And the forest began to drum on its own. A forest forever altered. A rhythm now untethered. A mother's voice, imprisoned inside the final chords of the sacred drum. Muna has come farther than any before her. But the cost. A guide lost. A gate cracked open. A beast reborn in rhythm. The final truth of the drum now lies in her hands. But to finish the song, she may have to sacrifice everything she loves. The forest no longer slept. Even in the deepest shadows of Okunji, the trees drummed themselves. Their roots tapped against buried bones. Their branches beat the wind like talking drums gone mad. Muna walked with the broken halves of Idumo's drum strapped to her back. Everywhere she stepped, the rhythm followed. Not a beat of power anymore. Not a call to destiny. But a warning. You have gone too far. Animals no longer fled from her. They watched, as though waiting to see what the girl would do with the oldest power of all. And the sky, still spiraling, still bleeding violet like a bruise on the world's face. That night, Muna sat alone before the fire. She did not eat. She did not sleep. She stared at the drum, 3 chords remaining. 3 threads of fate. The 4th chord had unleashed the beast. The next could unleash her mother. Or destroy what little balance remained in the world. Then a voice. Broken. From the drum itself. Muna, listen carefully. She froze. Mother. I've not much time. The chords are unraveling faster now. You have 2 choices. Tell me. If you free me, I return. But the beast grows stronger. The forest falls. Rhythm becomes weapon. And the other. You finish the rhythm. Tie the final beat with your own soul. And I remain trapped forever. Muna's hands trembled. Why did you enter the drum? To stop your father. He wanted the 7th beat. He died for it. So did hundreds before him. But why me? Because the drum listens to grief. And you were the quietest child. At dawn the gate cracked wider. The beast was returning. But it wasn't alone. From the mist stepped a child. Drumming softly. A boy no older than 11, with skin made of bark and eyes made of coals. He was the first drummer. The one from the beginning. The drummer boy whose rhythm cursed the forest. You touched my drum, he said, voice flat as flint. I had to, Muna replied. I didn't give you permission. And I don't need it. He tilted his head. You think this story is yours now? It's never been mine, she said. But I'm the only one left to finish it. The boy stepped aside, revealing a circle of trees, the Council of the Forgotten, ancient spirits bound by drumbeats, watching in silence. Then drum, the boy said. Let the rhythm decide. Muna sat at the center of the forest. The sacred drum before her. 3 golden chords. The forest held its breath. The beast circled the outer trees, watching. Her mother's voice still echoed faintly. Choose wisely. She untied the 5th chord. A surge of fire rushed up her spine. Visions of wars long past, of a village burned by rhythm itself, of drums used not to tell stories but to break them. The wind howled. The spirits wept. The 6th chord came loose with a scream. 1,000 voices exploded from the drum. Voices of the forgotten, the betrayed, the sacrificed. Muna was thrown back. Blood trickled from her nose. Only 1 chord remained. The 7th. Final. Untying it meant one thing. She would become the rhythm. She would replace her mother. She would never return home. But the beast would be sealed again. She tied her own wrist to the last chord. And pulled. As the 7th chord snapped free, the drum changed. Grew larger. Visor. The skin became mirrors. Its frame, bones of forgotten ancestors. Its sound, no longer heard with ears, now pulsed inside the soul. The beast charged. The forest crumbled around it. The drummer boy screamed. You were never meant to. Muna struck the drum. Time slowed. The beast froze mid-leap. The spiral in the sky reversed. And with each beat, Muna became the drum. First beat. Her name disappeared. Second beat. Her past faded. Third beat. Her mother smiled once and vanished. Final beat. The gate of Okunji closed. Forever. The forest was quiet once more. The trees no longer drummed. The wind no longer whispered secrets. At the center of the sacred circle sat a new drum, silent, untouched, its chords tied in spirals, glowing faintly in golden threads. Child approached. He reached for it and paused. A single voice echoed from deep within. Beware. the drummer boy with a secret in the woods.